Good morning. I, Dr. Ken Veena, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Economics. Today, I'm going to discuss about forms of business organization. The first one is meaning of business organization. The term business organization describes how businesses are structured and how the structure helps them meet their goal is called it as business organization. In general, businesses are designed to focus on either generating profit or improving society. So a business organization is an entity aimed at carrying on commercial enterprises by providing goods and services to meet the need of the customers. And forms of business organization. See, while establishing a businesses, the most important task is to select a proper form of organization. So while selecting the form of organization, we have to consider the conduct of business and its control level and acquisition of the capital and extent of risk, distribution of profit, legal formalities, etc. So these are all the factors that depends on the forms of business organization. And the next one is the forms of business organization mainly divided in four categories. One is sole proprietorship, and second one is partnership form, third one is company or joint stock company, and last one is cooperative society. Let me discuss one by one in detailed manner. First, sole proprietorship, which means that a business owned, managed, and controlled by a single individual is called it as sole trading or sole proprietorship. The person who manages the business is called it as sole trader. And coming to the definition about the sole trading, according to Mr. J.L. Anson, what is defined means sole trading is a type of business unit where one person is solely responsible for providing the capital and for bearing the risk of the organization and for the management of the business is called it as sole proprietorship. And let me see the features of sole trading. The first and foremost feature is single ownership, which means that only one will be the owner of the business. See, there is no other person will not be involved in a owner. So the next one is ease of the formation, which means the formation of the sole trading is very easy. So there is only few documents, even sometimes there is no document to be needed for forming the sole enterprises. So if you want to start, we can easily start the sole trading business when compared to partnership and joint stock company. And the third feature is direct relation, which means owner always involved with all the activity of the single ownership business. So that's why owner has direct relations with business. And the next one is investment of low capital. It means owner, only one owner can invest entire capital from his own savings or also he may borrow from his friends. So always the capital is less when compared to other kind of business. And the next one is self-management. Which means that each and every task will be conducted by the owner itself. So he only completely manage the enterprises. So here the self-management is applicable. The next feature is profit and loss. It means that the full amount of profit or loss will be entitled by the owner. If the businesses get any profit, the owner only enjoy all the profit. If the business get any loss, the owner only pays all the losses. The last feature is government regulation, which means that the government has very little or sometimes there is no rules and regulations about the activity of the sole proprietorship. And coming to the merits of sole trading, what are the advantages or benefits of this sole trading business means? The first benefit is quick decision making. The first benefit is quick decision making, which means that a sole proprietor exercises his rights in the making of business choices. So it is very easy for the sole trader to make decision quickly because he is the sole receiver of all the profits. So there is no need to share profit with anyone because he is the only investor who has invest money in the business. So the quick decision is possible in sole trading business. And the next one is confidentiality of information, which means that secret will be maintained in sole trading. Because a sole proprietor has the authority to make his decision regarding all business activity. Since a sole owner is only decision maker of the business, so he keep all the business related information confidentially. So hence a sole trader is not bound by law to bring out its account in the eye of public. And the next benefit is direct incentive, which means a profit is rewarded by bearing risk at the proprietor in his business. So a sole proprietor is the only person who gains all the benefit arising from the business. So hence getting profit motivate the sole proprietor to give more effort and to give more benefit and higher growth in the businesses. And sense of accomplishment. So this is the last benefit of sole trading. So here a small success of the business give the feeling of fulfillment of the goal of the business. So and he gets motivated. So hence here getting profit and long-term benefit gives him a feeling of personal satisfaction. So these are all the merits and advantages of sole trading business. Let us see drawbacks. What are the disadvantages of sole trading business? The first disadvantage is limited resources. So this is the major disadvantage because the resources of the sole trading are limited to his savings and also he may borrow from his relatives. So even bank also hesitate or deny giving the long-term loan or extend the limit of long-term loan due to the weak financial position of the business. So lack of all these resources results in hindrance in the growth of sole proprietorship business. I already mentioned about the reason why the businesses generally remain the small. And the next drawback is life of the business concept, which means the owner and his business in a same entity. And due to the lack of successor, the life of the business is limited. See, due to the death or insolvency or illness of the proprietor gives determinal impact on the business, which result in closure of the business. The next drawback is unlimited liability. This is the major demerit of sole trading. So it is that the owner has unlimited liability. See, if the sole owner fails to pay the debt due to the failure of the business, the creditor would not only claim from the business asset, but also from his personal estate also. So that taking a large amount of loan is too risky and also put the burden on the sole owner of the business. So this is the reason why sole trader do not intended to take the risk for the survival and also the growth of the business. And the last drawback is limited managerial ability, which means the sole proprietor has to accept all the responsibility to carry out its business. See, sometimes the proprietor has to perform all the managerial functions like the selling function, purchase function, marketing function, and dealing with the customers, etc. So he may not able to employ and retain aspiring employees. So these are all the demerits or disadvantages of sole trading concern. According to my conclusion, the sole proprietorship is suitable form of business for only small scale enterprises. See, it is the suitable form enterprises which require personal attention and limited capital, such as local grocery shop, small bakery shop, tailoring shop, doctor clinic, etc. The next form of business is partnership form. So let me see the meaning about partnership form. So partnership is an extension of the sole proprietary concern. So a partnership is a business carried by two or more persons. So they join hands together on the basis of an agreement. They pool their resources and run a lawful business. So the main aim of such a business is to earn profit, and that profit should be shared among themselves. In India, partnership business is governed by the Indian Partnership Act 1932. Coming to the definition about the partnership firm, according to the section 4 of the Partnership Act 1932, so partnership may be defined as the relationship between persons who have agreed to share the profit of the business carried on by all or any of them acting for all. That we call it as partnership firm. Let me see features of partnership firm. The first features of partnership firm is number of persons, which means that if you want to start the partnership firm, minimum will require 2. Maximum, if you start the bank related organization, we require 10, or other kind of business, we need 20. And the second feature is deed. It is also called it as agreement. So which means that a partnership is the result of an agreement between 2 or more persons. So the agreement may be in the form of written or oral. So if it is the written agreement, we are called it as partnership deed. And third one is sharing of profit. See, the purpose of the partnership must be earned profit. So the profit should be shared by the partner in agreed ratio. So if there is no specific agreement in this regards, then all the partners share the profit equally. The next feature is unlimited liability, which means that the liability of each partner is unlimited. It means that the partner are individually and collectively liable for all debt of the firm. And the next one is no separate legal existence, which means the partnership is not a legal entity. So it has no legal existence apart from the partners. And the last feature is utmost good faith. So a good faith is the essence of partnership. So hence, each partner should be just as faithful to another. So these are all the features of partnership firm. Let me discuss about merits or advantages of partnership firm. The first and foremost advantages of partnership firm business is easy to form, which means that a partnership firm can be formed without any legal formalities and expenses. Even if the firm is to be registered, the expenses are not much compared to the joint stock company. And the next merit is access to more capital. So a firm consists of more than one person, so they can secure more capital from combined resources. So next feature or advantages is skill and talent, which means talented person may be taken as partner. So more skill and talent will be available in partnership firm when compared to sole trading business. The next one is division of labor. So the division of labor be introduced, which increase the efficiency in the management. Say one partner may take care of purchase, and another partner may take care of sales, and third he may take care of finance, so on. So here the division of work is possible. And the next one is contact with customer. See, all the partners in the firm may take part in the management of the business. So they can get in touch with the customer during the course of the business. So it enables them to study the taste and need of the customers. And the next advantages is borrowing capacity. See, the creditor will lend loan not only on the basis of the firm asset, but also based on the personal property of the partner. So the borrowing capacity of the firm is more when compared to other form of business. And the next one is incentive to work hard. It means that each partner is liable for the debt of the firm. And also every partner have a shares in the profit. So this makes them to work hard for the success of the business. And the next one is expansion of business. It means that due to the availability of sufficient finance and sufficient skill of the business, the firm can be expanded very easily. And the next one is cooperation between the partners. The partnership enable partner to provide mutual help to each other. So the partner behave the members in a joint family. And the next one is flexibility, which means that changes in the business can be adopted easily. So there are no legal restrictions. So if the business want to change anything, they can adopt that change very easily. And the next one is this economy in operation, which means if there is cooperation among the partner of the firm can be run effectively. So a good number of economics in the management can be derived. And the next one is division of risks, which means that all losses and risk of the business are shared by all the partners. So risky ventures can also be taken up in partnership form. And the next one is maintenance of secrets. So the business secret can be maintained easily if the number of partners in the firm are limited. And the last advantages is indices of tax. So compared with the company form of organization, the tax payable on the income of the partner will be less. So these are all the advantages or merits of partnership firm. And coming to the drawbacks and what are the disadvantages of partnership firm is, let me discuss. The first one is division of responsibility, which means in a partnership, the management is divided. So as such, responsibility also divided. So every partner might try to shift the burden on the shoulder of others. So finally, what happens? None take the responsibility properly. So this is the major drawback. The second one is delay in decision. Of course, sometimes the partner may not agree with one another in taking decision. So all the results, partners will not be in a position to take quick decision. So in this firm, quick decision is not possible. And the next demerit is lack of continuity. It is also one of the drawbacks. So a partnership get dissolved on the death or insolvency or insanity or retirement of the any partner. We can, so there is no guarantee for continuity of the firm. And the next one is no transferability of the shares, which means that in a firm, the partner cannot transfer his shares of interest to others without the consent of the other partners. So that is also one of the drawbacks. And the next one is lack of secrecy. It means that it may not be possible to maintain secrecy in partnership because of the number of partners is high. Unlimited liability, which means that the creditor of the firm can recover their loan amount from the personal property of the partner. So when the firm resources are not enough, they can lose their personal property also. So therefore, the personal property of the partner are not safe in partnership form. And the next drawback is joint and several liability, which means that every partner is joint and separately liable for all the firm debts. See, in case of insolvency of the partner, the solvent partner have to pay the debt of the insolvent partner also. And the next one is internal conflict, which means the differences and disputes among the partners are very common. So these conflicts harm the firm as a whole. And the next drawback is misuse of asset. It is also possible. See, the partner may use the asset on the firm for their personal use also. So misuse of asset is harmful to the business interest. And the last drawback is lack of public confidence. See, the partnership firm is purely private organization. So it is not controlled and regulated by the government. So as such, public cannot have confidence in the firm. So these are all the disadvantages or drawback of partnership firm. And the next one is partnership deed. It means the agreement between the two or more persons. The agreement may be in the form of oral or written. When the agreement is written form, we are called it as partnership deed. It may be defined as a document containing the terms of partnership as agreed by the partner is called it as partnership deed or articles of partnership. And what are the contents of this partnership deed or agreement form means? It includes name of the organization, name and addresses of all the partners, nature of business, place of business, date of commencement of partnership, and duration of partnership, and what are the capital contribution by the all the partners, and the amount which can be withdrawn by each partner, and rules regarding operation of bank account, and division of profit and loss ratio, and details regarding interest on capital and also the drawing, and details about interest in partners loan, and information regarding salaries, commissions, and details of work of division of work among the partners. And the last, settlement of accounts on retirement or death of the partner and dissolution of the firm. So these are all the information included in partnership deed. So these are all the contents of partnership deed. The third form of businesses is joint stock company. It is very important form. It means that a company formed and registered under the Companies Act. So that organization, we are call it as joint stock company. So a joint stock company is an association of many persons who contribute money or money's worth to common stock or employ it for the common purpose. So that we have called it as joint stock company. Let me see what are the features of joint stock company. The first feature is it is the artificial person, which means a joint stock company is an artificial person as it does not possess any physical attributes of the natural person, but it is created by law. So that it has a legal entity separate from his member. And the next one is separate legal entity, which means that being an artificial person, a company has its own legal entity separate from its member. So it can own assets or property, enter into the contract, sue or can be sued by anyone in the court of law. So a shareholder cannot be held liable for any conduct of the company. And the third one is perpetual existence, which means a company once formed continues to exist as long as it is fulfilling all the conditions prescribed by the law. So it is the existence is not affected by the death or insolvency or retirement of its member. And the next one is limited liability of the shareholder, which means the shareholder of the joint stock company are only liable to the extent of shares they hold in your company or more than that. So the liability is limited by guarantee or shares held by them. And the next one is common sale, which means that being an artificial person, a joint stock company cannot sign any document. So this common sale is a company representative while dealing with the outsider. So any document having common seal and the signature of the officer is binding on the company. And the next feature is transferability of shares. So it is the additional features of this kind of business. So here the member of the joint stock company are freely to transfer their shares to anyone. And the next feature is capital. Which means that a joint stock company can raise large amount of capital by issuing its shares. So in this type of company may collect huge capital to run the business. And the next feature is management. It means a joint stock company has a democratic management, which is managed by the elected representative of the shareholders. They are called it as director of the company. And the next one is membership. To form a private limited company, minimum number of members prescribed in the Companies Act is 2 and maximum number is 50. But in case of public limited company, the minimum limited member is 7 and maximum there is no limit. And the last feature is formation, which means generally a company is formed with the incentive of group members who are also known as promoters. But it comes into the existence after completing all the formalities prescribed in the Companies Act 1956. So these are all the essential features of joint stock company. The next, what are the merits or advantages of joint stock company? Means the first advantages is limited liability, which means the liability of the member of joint stock company is limited to the extent of shares held by them. So shareholder asset will not be taken off state. So these features attract large number of investors to invest in the company. The next merit is perpetual existence. It means a company is an artificial legal person. It is created by law, which has its own independent legal status. So its existence is not affected by death or insolvency and its member. The continuity is there. The next one is large scale operation, which means the capacity of the corporate organization to raise the funds is comparatively high, which provide capital for large scale operation. So hence here opens the scope of expansion. The next, transferability of shares. In joint stock company, it is very easy to transfer shares to anyone, but the same, it is not permitted to private limited company. It is only possible for public limited company. And the next advantage is rising of funds, which means it is easy to raise a large amount of funds as the number of person contributing to the capital are more. The next benefit is social benefit. It means it offers employment to a large number of people, and it facilitates promotion of various industries, and also it donates money for education and community services. So this joint stock company helps more benefit towards the society. And the last advantage is R&D. It means that research and development. So the organization has to invest a lot of money on research and development for improving the production process, for improving the quality of products, and also designing and innovating the new products, etc. So these are all the advantages or merits of joint stock company. And what are the drawbacks in the sense? The first drawback is formation is not easy. Of course, to act as a legal entity, the company has to fulfill various legal and procedural formalities. So that it is very tough when compared to other kind of business. The second major drawback is double taxation, which means, so this is the biggest disadvantage which the company faces. See, firstly, the company needs to pay tax for the earned profit. The second, again, the shareholder are taxed for the earned income. So this is the major drawback of this kind of business. And the next one is controlled by board of directors. See, after electing directors of the company, which manage the business of the company, the shareholders become ignorant of their responsibility. So what happens is this may due to lack of interest or lack of proper and timely information. The controlling is spoiled. So these are all the drawbacks. And the next one is excessive government control, which means a company has to comply with provision of several acts. So non-compliance of which can cause a company heavy penalty. So this affects the smooth functioning of company. And the next one is delay in policy decision, which means all the legal and procedural formalities which are required to fulfill before making policies of the company. So it may delay the policy decision. And the last drawback is speculation and manipulation, which means as the share of the joint stock company are easily transferable, so that the shares are purchased and sold in the stock exchange on the value or price of the share based on the expected dividend or the reputation of the company. So these are all the drawbacks of joint stock company. Let me see the types of joint stock company. It means the companies are classified on the basis of incorporation, liability of the member, number of members, and ownership. Let me see one by one in detailed manner. The first, On the basis of incorporation, the company are classified three types. First, chartered company, which means that these companies are incorporated under a royal character issued by the king or queen or head of the state. So such companies have exclusive rights, powers, and privileges under the royal character. The examples of these companies are East Indian Company, Bank of England, etc. The second company, statutory company. So these companies are formed under the special act passed by the parliament or state legislation. See, the power which can be exercised by such company are defined by the act that constitute them. So the examples of statutory companies are Reserve Bank of India, State Bank of India, Life Insurance Corporation, etc. And the third type, based on the incorporation, registered companies, which means a company incorporated under the Indian Companies Act 1956 is called it as registered company. See, the power exercised by such company are defined by the Companies Act and also Memorandum of Association. A registered company can be in the form of private limited or public limited. On the basis of liability, the companies are divided into three. First one is company limited by shares, which means the liability of the member is limited to the extent of the unpaid value of shares. Such companies may be public or private limited company. And second, companies limited by guarantee, which means the member guarantees to pay a fixed sum of money at the time of liquidation of the company for payment of company's liabilities. So such company are formed without a share capital for non-trading purpose. And third kind of business limited is unlimited liability, which means the liability of the member is unlimited. See, in the event of winding up of the company, the private property of the member can be used to pay the debt of the firm. So due to the high risk involved, such companies are not found in India. The third type based on the membership. The company are classified into two. One is private limited and another one is public limited. The private limited company is one, minimum is 2 and maximum is 50. The places of some restrictions on the transfer of its shares. It prohibits all invitation by prospectors or other to the general public. So compulsory, the private limited company must use the word private limited after its name. And the second kind, public limited company, which means it must have at least 3 directors. Here, shares can be freely transferred in a public company from one person to another. In case of public company, statutory meeting is compulsory. On the basis of ownership, company are divided into two. The first, government company, and next second, foreign company. So the first government company, it means company in which not less than 51% of paid up share capital held by the central or state or partially central and state. Those company we are called it as government company. They follow provision on Indian Companies Act 1956. So the examples of government companies are Hindustan Mission Tool, Oil and Natural Gas Company, etc. And the last, foreign companies, it means the company which is registered in one country but carries out the operation in India. So these are all the different types of joint stock company. Thank you.